So students, today the topics which we are going to learn will be object-oriented programming, what is classes and object, define how to define a class in Python, what is init function, what is encapsulation, abstraction, and polymorphism. Now in Python, everything is object-oriented based programming only, starting from list to tuple to dictionary, everything. Because when you create any list, any tuple, any dictionary by any name, you're creating an object. Did not understand? Let me tell you about something. Like let's take an example of apple. Apple is what? Apple is a fruit. It is representing the fruit class, isn't it? In the same way, a car is representing vehicle class, because they are representing certain things, so that's why they are the object of that particular class. Like fruit is an entire class with many things, so apple is representing it, so that is why apple will be the object of this fruit class. In the same way, here when we create a list, we provide a name. That name will be representing the entire list, isn't it? So that is why it is a class. Now what is a class and object? Just now I told you how to define a class. Now for defining a class, we use the keyword class with any name. So let me define a class with student name. So here the class name is student, nothing else is required. And then we will define inside a class what are the things we have. Inside a class we have class data and class member function. Member function is not like that, it's called method, or the functions we define. So in a class we have data and method. Data and method are combined itself in a class. And how to define them? See, there are two ways. See, you can directly define a class, or you can take help of init function. So let me first show you how to define a class in a normal way without init function. Okay, so it's a class student. Now I'm defining two variables. Let's say name equal to Arun and age equal to, I'm keeping it in a string way. So see, I have defined two data members, one is name, one is age. Okay, and I will be defining one function or method like full details. Now I will simply write print full details, and I will write just comma name plus age. As they are both string, I can directly write the I can directly use this plus operator. Okay, now I will create one object. So the object name is s equals to student, and s is the object of class student. This is how you create an object. Okay, now I will call the function full details through this object. I cannot just directly write the function name and it will be accessed. No, it doesn't work like that. Class has its own boundaries. Now if you want to use any data member or any member function or method out of the class, you need to use the object, because object will help you to access it. So full details, and I will run it. Let's see how it works. See, it's I intentionally have done it. The error has come. See, full details takes 0 positional argument, but 1 was given. How this happened? Because see, how I'm accessing the full detail. I'm accessing the full detail method with the object s. So here I have to mention the class object name. So here we provide by convention. Okay, that is a rule. By convention, it is a rule. Everybody writes self, but still it will come an error. Why? Because global name is not defined. The name and age they could not access because they are inside the class, and the property which is providing, see, you could not access name and age because of some property. The property which is providing or restricting this access is called abstraction, data abstraction, because data will be abstracted and only the essential details will be shared with you. Now these things we also see in different. What is data abstraction? Let me tell you about this data abstraction. Without knowing the background details, the functions which you use, normally that are data abstraction. Because let's take an example of list. When we use list dot append something, do we have to define that append function? No, we don't have to define that append function. In the same way, if we list dot pop, when we write those functions, do we have to define it? No, they are built-in functions. They are already defined in the background. Okay, we don't have to see the definition, we just have to use it. So that is the main details are hidden from us, so that is called abstraction. And what is encapsulation? Encapsulation means data and members are stays inside one class, and that is called encapsulation. Okay, here the name, age, full details, this method, they are all inside this class and they are only encapsulated into this class. Okay, now let me tell you how to write those things. Now see, I haven't used any init function. Init function, why it is used and how it works, I haven't used it. That is why these are class members. So class members, if you want to access or write any class member, you have to give the class name. So I will provide student dot name, and the same way student dot age. Now if I run this now, I hope this should work, and voila, see, full details are on with his name and his age. Okay, I hope you have understood how this worked. Now I will show you how init function works, why init function we use, and why how it works. Okay, now init function is basically used to define these variables, these data members, they are used to define. If I use init function, I don't have to define them separately. Now I will show you the example of using init function in a two way. One, I will send the details through object, or I will take user input. Means I will be taking the input. Here also I have already provided the details by myself, but user didn't provide anything. So I will show you how to use init function by using this user input, as well as I will provide details from myself, both the sides, in both the situation. How to do that, I'll show you. So let me clear this particular section. Okay, now here I will write, I'm defining the init function, def space underscore underscore init underscore underscore bracket, and in this bracket we will write self. According to convention, the object, this self, this particular word self represent the object. Instead of self you can write anything, see, anything, and but you have to use that particular thing everywhere. Now I'll show you the same way. Self comma, I'll write name comma age. Okay, and then I'll define self dot name equal to name, and self dot age equal to age. Okay, the definition of init function is done. Now I'll write define full underscore details, and here also the same thing I will provide. Now print, I should not have removed it, it's the same thing only. Full details are, I'll use self dot see, because now I'm using init function. Init function will initialize the variable through the object, and after that I have to use this particular same through object only I will be accessing. I don't need now class name to be to access these variables. Okay, self dot name comma some space comma self dot age. Okay, now here I will send some values. Let's say I will send the value name Arun comma 32. So let's see how it works. Object takes no parameters. So why did it come? So the mistake was that instead of writing init method, I have written int method. So I'll just correct it in it method. Now you can see I have created an object S, and through this object I'm passing two variables or two values, Arun and 24. Arun will go to name and 24 will go to age. Both I'm passing as an string. So through the object the name is going to the name variable, and through the object the age is going to the age variable, and the details has been provided through this full details method. Now I'm just calling full details through this object, and let's see how this program works. I think it should work this time fine. Yes, full details are Arun and 24. Now this goes how to create a class using self values, or the values you are providing through yourself. Now if the user want to provide the values, how to do that? So at that state you should be removing this init function, and you declare your functions through which you can call the or you can enter the values. So def I'll write def get function, and here I'll provide through object only I will be taking all the values. So let's say name equal to input enter name and age equal to input enter age. The one mistake I have done over here, just see here through the object it needs to be taken, so I have to provide this self again, and see I have taken I will be taking not through the object, I will be taking through a method. Through the get method I will be taking the name and age, and that particular name and age will be printed through this full details. So I'll just create an object. Yeah, I have just created an object, and now I will call which function? The get function. So s dot get. So let's see how it works. I hope there should not be any error. If there is error, we'll correct it. Enter name, let's say Arun, enter age 24. Yes, it is working absolutely fine. So in this example you saw how to create a class. In this example you saw what is an object oriented programming, what is class and object, how to define a class with object, and how to define a class with user input as well as input from by the programmer itself. What is an init function, encapsulation, abstraction and polymorphism. So that's all for today. I hope you have liked this video. Subscribe the channel if you are new to this. I will be creating more video series for Python, so stay tuned.